Oh, it just stopped raining, and I was sitting upstairs in our house, and nobody knew this yet, but I got back to the barn at 10 o'clock this morning, and Jason told me globetrotting hit a big leg. I looked at it and immediately thought it was an injury. So it was weighing on me pretty heavy. We couldn't get her to the vet until 4 p.m. That was the first clinic appointment we could get. So all afternoon, all morning, it's been weighing on me about what this potential could be. Now, it ended up being it was an infection in her leg. There was a little cut at the back of her leg, and it could have got in. And it's still a very serious thing. But at the same time, I'll take an infection in her leg any day over a suspensory or really anything in that area. I was really really beat down when I looked at that filly this morning. So I've been carrying around a lot of baggage all day that was weighing on me pretty heavy, and I got to thinking about what was going on at the barn all year. We have some horses that we've turned out, just typical baby stuff. We had some horses that I hadn't really given a lot. Once in a while I'll get an email from somebody saying, hey, you haven't talked about this horse in a long time. I've talked about the horse in particular many, many times. The problem is not everybody watches the idiot talk all day. Some people want to either fast forward to their portion of where the horse may be, or that they just want to go in and read about it. And the reason I make these videos is because we have over 110, 120 horses spread out all over everywhere. And for me to go in, I could easily type you up a report of each horse, but think of it this way. If maintenance man trained okay, your report would say maintenance man trained all right, because I have 100 more to write. And the time I would have to, and the reason we went to videos, because when we get up around 50 or 60 horses, it just got too much. All the normal text looked the same, right? Oh, he trained okay this week. Oh, he trained all right this week. And it didn't really convey how I felt. And obviously, when I got home this afternoon at 1:30, I was feeling pretty down, right? And I'd done a video. I wanted to focus on how the horses trained and qualified this morning. So I was trying to separate myself from what I assumed was going to be some horrific news coming my way at 4 o'clock, stuff that really beats you down. Really just trying to brace myself for what I was certain I was about to hear. And hearing that it was an infection in her leg. Obviously, infection in her leg's a problem, but it's treatable, I would assume. Now, the vet was very guarded and said, we have to put her on antibiotics. Today's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. If everything goes perfectly, she can qualify this week, but her qualifier might be pushed. So there's still time. It kind of screws up our schedule in a sense that I want to put this all in the right area. First off, let's make sure the filly's leg gets cleaned out and is fine. She's on some pretty substantial antibiotics to clean it out quickly. And we will be on it 24/7, as we are all the time with that filly. Her caretaker, Cindy, does an incredible job at the barn. And she's in the right place, put it that way. So clean that up. Secondly, let's move to calendar. Calendar is the Monday qualifier likely? No. I would say probably not, but maybe end of the week is. I didn't report this. Anybody also is that Jason's date for leaving is June 8th. June 8th Jason will be leaving with all the horses, not the 2-year-olds, the 3-year-olds, and heading to Northfield Park. So she'll be on schedule, but will she be in a perfect place for us? No. The qualifier, let's assume everything goes good. I would say the qualifier is on the 5th of June, which is 7 days before the first stake race. Is she going to be raceway tight? No, she's not. I planned on qualifying her on Monday. That was a stiff bunch that she was in to qualify with. Also, Wine Rat. It's some real good horses. I figured she'd go a mile 56, 57. We'd come back on the Saturday, which would be the 6th. Probably go a mile in 56 at Mohawk again if we could, or 58. And that should have her tight. Right, and this is a filly that's just a gifted filly. So was I worried she was going to be out of sorts going to Ohio? No, not at all. A little trickier now, but nevertheless, I came in the house thinking that I was going to have to report about an injury that would cost her the rest of the season. And instead, I'm coming out telling you qualifying time or qualifying and then getting her ready will be tight. I'll take that any day of the week. So that's where we're at with globetrotting. It got me to thinking there's a number of other horses that had little nicks and scratches where people were just waiting to see what was going on because I hadn't really given them big updates, horses that maybe missed a week or two. Then we had a number of horses that had surgery done or horses I turned out. What are we doing with them? Me saying, hey, I turned Carry a Big Stick out for a month. What does that mean for you? My partner on Carry a Big Stick. So I wanted to go through some horses that had surgeries or procedures and what their timeline looks like this year, and then updates on some horses like Cruising in Style that you only ever hear, oh, he trained good. You might have saw a clip of him on Facebook. But what does that mean? Where are these horses situated? What am I doing? I did get an email a couple of weeks ago saying, White Tiger raced in March. Why can't we have him ready sooner? We can, but I'm going to tell you why we're not going to in just a minute. So I'm going to start with the updates since we started with globetrotting. It could have been a catastrophic day for me, my partners on globetrotting. The stable to lose your quarterback, so to speak, is not something you take lightly. And although our stable can continue and do very well without globetrotting, the loss of globetrotting for the season would have been a very, very tough pill to swallow. And I'm just so happy. I'm not happy it's an infection, and it seems to be a nasty little bugger of an infection too. Her leg blew up pretty quick. Yesterday she jogged fine and looked fine. Today she was big. It was big and very hot, and she was very sore on it. So she's on antibiotics. We caught it quick. I'm of the belief, and hopefully that she'll recover from this quickly. Now, let's start with the other horses. I just ran through the list quickly as I saw them. Adrenaline Rush had a cut from when Johnny and I collided in the training set the other day. This is a colt that has really got none of the respect he should. You know, we kind of made light of him from the start. He was lazy. Is he any good? Can he go? This colt came a half in 58 and was coming to me the other day with Blue Monk. We were going to finish bridle to bridle under the wire. Big last half, big last quarter, big colt. Adrenaline Rush ended up with a cut on his leg from that, and he ended up with 4 or 5 stitches in it. Stitches are healed. He's cleared to go back to jogging tomorrow. No problem with Adrenaline Rush. So those of you out there that own Adrenaline Rush, you'll see him. He's on schedule. Put it this way, as I said to Kevin, we have 6 weeks till the first, and I said gold. I'll use the word gold, but at this point, and I had a very lengthy conversation with a good friend of mine this afternoon talking about how do we determine golden grassroots right now? And I said, well, there's 2 very important factors that I still am no closer to answering. How fast can the horse go? And who else do we have to race against? These are 2 things I have no idea. So I suspect Adrenaline Rush, plenty fast, has lots to offer. He'll be just fine. Secondly is, my wife ordered food. I've been out here. Thank you. Amy didn't even want to bother me. I told her I'd go to the grocery store and I'd pick her up something to eat. I've been sitting out here talking to the veterinarian, and I was trying to get an update on the 2 Australian horses, so I've been trying to call Australia, and she ordered food. Oh, God bless her. So, Adrenaline Rush, cleared to go, and as I said, Golden Grassroots. How do I answer Golden Grassroots? I can't. I fully suspect that we'll probably go over and train Adrenaline Rush in 59 or 2 minutes next week. No problem whatsoever. This is an incredibly fast colt. He's deceptively one of our bigger colts, and I didn't even realize how big he was till I jumped in behind him a couple of weeks ago when I trained him 3 weeks ago. And Johnny said he was fantastic the other day. He's turned into a really nice colt, so I think he's fast enough. If history is any indicator, I think where he needs to be right now, he's plenty fast enough. Who else is out there? I don't know. So Adrenaline Rush, a little cut that he had is cleaned up. Better's Hope missed a couple of weeks, and we have people concerned what's going on with Better's Hope. He was sick, and then he got cast in the stall, I believe, and cut his elbow. Kind of in a tricky spot, and it was a little painful. So Kevin put him on antibiotics just to make sure that wound healed up quick. It didn't get infected because it is in a place they lay on every night. So put him on antibiotics. He's back jogging. He will train his first trip back Saturday. Now, again, keep in mind, 6 weeks, lots of time. And again, Golden Grassroots colt, he's got some work to do to catch Adrenaline Rush, and the other horses just yet, but he is one of our best bred horses at the training center. First foal out of a great race mare by Better's Delight. Couldn't ask for much more than that. So Better's Hope, he'll do what he can do, and you will see him on the track for the first stake race, whichever one that might be. I don't know yet. I had mentioned here the Australian horses. I have not got an update yet. I know that Rockin' Down Under qualified 2 days ago, or yesterday, one or the other. 58. She's going to be in to go. She only has one win, so she'll be in to go next week. I know the biggest concern for Australia was from place to place to place. They were still trying to get back racing in different places. The stake schedule was virtually just put on hold, and that's why Girl from Oz was kicked out of the field. There was nowhere to race her, and there wasn't a lot of non-winners of 2 put you into non-winners of 3, I guess, puts you into a pretty stiff competition, sometimes an aged group. So Darren just simply wanted to take his time with her. I believe she's back training now. I think they're just going to pick up the stake schedule when they start racing in different states, I guess, in different places. They're just going to pick up where they left off, which is odd, but good. So Girl from Oz got a good rest. Got to mature some in the middle of the year. That's rare. And is back training. Rockin' Down Under will likely race next week, I suspect, whereas Girl from Oz will be another week or two. She's one of the top fillies, obviously, and they wanted to give her some time because there's nowhere to race her. So that's where we're at right now with those horses. Were we welcome? You've heard me say, we had a couple of my partners email and say, what's the scoop with Were We Welcome? Why isn't she going full bore? So great question. We've told you from day one and all throughout the winter that we treat each of our horses on a case-by-case basis. Were We Welcome has a giant barrel. So the barrel would be the stomach area, her hind end. She's a big girl. Up front, she's still a little dainty, a little filly. She's frail, and she's a little back on her knees. Now, after she went a big training trip about a month ago, we noticed that she was on a line a little bit more, a little pinchier up front than we'd like to see. We took her to the vet and got her looked at. Her knees were a little sore. We had them injected. We backed off with her. Her lower hocks were sore from taking weight from that front end. So when we backed off with her, she was much better the next time we trained her. I'd said to Mario, let's focus on faster track work at Mohawk, slower track work here. So she didn't go behind the drone. She didn't go behind the gate. We'll get her behind our gate at the farm this week. She didn't go behind the car last 2 times, but there's not going to be an issue with where we... Actually, I think the first time she did. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that, but I'm not worried about her going behind the car. She's a smart filly. So what I am worried about is making sure those knees are set up good for the summer. So I don't want to keep pushing and pushing when we don't have to. I'd like to qualify her in 2:2 to 2 minutes on the 25th or thereabouts of June. And have maybe one race into her, maybe just a couple of good schoolers into her going into her stake season. This is a filly that we truly believe is a gold filly. And I believe Walk on the Moon and Northern Blizzard are gold colts. Until we've been proven otherwise, that's where we stand right now. As I said, it's hard to tell without knowing the other horse, but you have to look at some of the indicators from the past. When I look at how good the Gold Series has been annually, the Pacers are a little trickier than the Trotters. Now, unless you have a freak in nature, like just a layover all year, I think that the power, the intelligence, and just the body makeup of those 3 horses and what they've been able to do throughout the winter and spring would lead me to believe that those are 3 gold horses. Again, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but that's my mindset right now, is that Were We Welcome will continue to train at a 1.5 mile distance, miles around 25. We will take her over to Mohawk next week and train her in 2.8, 2:10, and then she'll go back to 1.5 miles. She'll go back over to Mohawk maybe 10 days later, train again, 2.5, 2.6. Around the 25th, we'll qualify her in 2 minutes, 2:2, and then she'll either have one start in between her stake races or right into her stake races. Keep in mind, it's a long year, and we have this filly paid into a number of added money events. Her first stake race being at 105% is not a concern of mine at this point. So Were We Welcome, right now, we want to make sure we keep her contained. Her mind is much stronger than her body. She's a big girl. Bear in mind, this needs to be addressed. So nothing new, no concerns that she's going to be injured or she is injured. She is 100% right now. I want to keep it that way. So back to what I'd said, on case-to-case basis, this filly's a special case and she's going to be treated as such. So Were We Welcome You won't see her on the 12th qualifying. You won't hear about her going in behind any drone sets or anything else other than to see the starting gate at Tamiko Training Center. She'll go a 1.5 mile distance again and again and again over the next few weeks, which is easy on her, something that helps build her stamina, build her strength, build her muscle, but at the same time, without putting a lot of torque on her body. She will do her fast miles at Mohawk. I would suggest, today's the 28th, I would suggest June 3rd maybe will be her first trip on the bigger track. June 3rd, June 13th, and then 9 days later for a qualifying time. So it works out well in that regard. So that's what's going on with Where We Welcome. Now, let's get to the older horses. Hey, what's going on with Cavill Hanover? You said he trained in 2-4 the other day, yet you're not going to qualify him. You're right, I'm not going to qualify him. I want to make sure that he's ready to go, he's tight, and we know what we're doing with him. When we first got this horse, we talked about sending him to Carmen Osiello, but Carmen had a bunch of horses fit that class. Is that the case anymore? I don't know. I ran into Carmen today, but I didn't specifically talk to him about Osopine or Cavill Hanover. We were just talking about getting back racing. Cavill Hanover's kind of ready to go. He's been at 2-4 at the farm. Still 2 weeks from being able to qualify and 4 weeks from actually qualifying. And this will fall into all the horses. Let me be very, very clear about this. I do not want these horses racing until the 10th of July or or around there. The reason being, right now, all the tracks are looking to get up and going, and all the horses are going to be going wide open right away. I want to take a look around North America and see where's the best place for our horses. Is it Mohawk? Is it Indiana? Is it Ohio? Is it Pennsylvania? Is it Illinois? I want to know. We have trainers everywhere. We have horses everywhere. We have jurisdictions to race in everywhere with all our horses. There's no reason why we can't pick and choose where we send our horses. So if Cavill Hanover is going to fit here, great. We can qualify him. We can talk to Carmen. Maybe get him out to Carmen's place. If it's going to be Pennsylvania with John Boutenchain maybe, or Andrew, or maybe even Illinois with Angie. We want to turn these 4-year-olds into stronger 5-year-olds. These are horses that are going to shape the future of the stable in the aged horse division. And when you look at a horse like Cavill Hanover, Osopine, White Tiger, yes, Cruising in Style, these are legitimately good horses. I thought last year we grossly underpaid for Cavill Hanover. Listen, we grossly underpaid from what I was prepared to pay for him that day. So I believe Cavill Hanover is going to be a nice horse. He trained well the other day, looked really good on the track. Osopine, same thing. He's back jogging, training. He's been training a little bit. I don't want him ready until July 10th, July 15th. White Tiger. Somebody had said, Anthony, what's the hurt? Why are you taking your time with White Tiger? Because there's no rush. 4-year-old divisions are tough. Now you're talking about aged open trotters. It's not 4. It's 4-year-old and up in most cases. And I want to make sure our horses have time to mature and grow and use the time they spent in the 2- and 3-year-old ranks to turn them into the best horses they can be. You saw White Tiger starting to really come around at the end of right before the pandemic hit. He was entered in to go for his last start, what likely would have been his last start of the springtime when the pandemic hit and the races were canceled. So White Tiger literally went to the field that day and used every ounce of time to be turned out. He's back jogging now. We'll likely start him with a slow mile on Saturday. Osopine's been back training a little bit. Cavill Hanover's been in 2-4, but I want Cavill Hanover to be in 55 or 56 at Mohawk before we qualify him. I want him able to be ready to dance with the horses he has to be able to when he comes back. Yes, many people asking about, yes, I don't blame you. This was a horse that really defined what the stable is, didn't it? At the end of his 3-year-old season, he ended up growing into such a good horse. I think he won the Open at Yonkers in the backup class. I know he was the favorite, I believe, in the Open at Yonkers one night, and then ended up hurting himself. Very minor injury, but one we took very, very seriously. Sent him down to Woodland Run Vet Clinic and Rehabilitation Center in Ohio. He's ready to come home now. The problem was getting the papers, getting him here. So he's been on hold for a week, but he will be coming here on Saturday, I believe. Now, I haven't got the marching orders from the vet. Anthony, could you turn him out for another month? Can you start him back jogging? Whatever it is what we're going to do. My idea in my head is that we're going to have him back for the fall, hopefully right when Yonkers starts up again, gets his purse pulls back up strong, and we have one of the freshest horses, maybe in North America, to start racing in that area. So in my mind, train him back slow, check that leg periodically. It looks like it's good. I want to keep it good. get him ready to qualify, maybe even race him here a couple of times, and then we're going to send him likely, I would suggest, to where he belongs. He's got the world record on a half-mile track. He did well at Yonkers, and Reserve said he thinks he'll be a powerhouse on a half-mile track like Yonkers moving forward. So you'll likely see him race here a couple of times and then head back down to Irv Miller, I would suspect. Same with Cruising in Style. Here's a horse that, funny horse, doesn't look like he gets around a half good, but does some of his best work on a half-mile track. He's back jogging and training now. Popped a little splint right front. We had a crowd yesterday. No big deal. Little bumps and bruises that come up along the way for these older horses, but Cruising in Style, another horse. I mean, if we didn't have these other horses and we just had Cruising in Style, we'd be excited. I mean, he's a really nice horse, but you know, here's a horse that can probably do some damage in Dover, maybe back with Andrew in the Dover area, back at Yonkers, picking away spots. I mean, these aged horses can make some serious money in a short period of time. That's why we have them, and that's what we'll continue to do. The same course with him also, like to have him ready around the first part of July. So those are the updates on a lot of horses that people have asked me. One other one, Maintenance Man. People have asked me all the time. I don't hear much about Maintenance Man. I trained Maintenance Man in 2 minutes on Saturday. He was fine. In my mind, I wanted to send him to Illinois. I thought that's where he would do the best work and the most damage, was out there. It's tough for him here in the condition claimer ranks at Mohawk. They can go in 53 some nights, which is a lot for him. So we may start him once here. We may just send him out to Illinois. But I believe that's where he's headed, is right out to Angie and Rob in Illinois. So those are all the horses I could think of that needed updates. Obviously, I wanted to get the globe-trotting stuff off my chest. That was a terrifying, terrifying morning for me. A lot to carry around at the qualifiers. Probably why Arctic Force got beat 3/4 of a length was the weight that I had on me going under the wire. But to wake up, and I had a nap. You know, Amy knew that I had a lot in my mind, and I just went upstairs and laid down for a bit. And when I woke up to the vet telling me that it was an infection, obviously you have to be guarded, you have to be careful. We want to clean that up. This is a very good horse, but for it not to be a torn suspensory, which I thought it was when I looked at it, was an incredible amount of weight lifted off my shoulders. So there's the updates. I'm going to run through the surgeries and what we want to do with them real quick, or turnouts in this case. The first horse I looked at wasn't a surgery, it was Barbie's Crown. Just looked like her body was under attack from her training, I guess is the best way to put it. Her hind ankles had blown up a little bit, and she was trying to do her work, but you could tell she was growing. She's so big now. So Steve and I own this filly and decided we're just going to give her some time. And it's great. You know what? I said this to Steve in a text, and it's the truth, is that everybody wants to win races. Everybody wants to win stake races. Everybody wants to have the best horse. But allowing us to do our job through confidence and dialogue and the understanding of the horse and the game is a big deal. And understanding how the game works, understanding when somebody says it might be time to back off, and you believe them and take them for the word, and not try and figure out a way to push forward. You know, as trainers, that's what happens to a lot of trainers along the way, a lot of horses along the way, and it really eats away at people, is when you know that somebody wants you to push forward, but the horse is kind of telling you not to. You're trying to find that happy medium, and there really isn't one. The horse needs to be stopped with, and dealing with the stable.ca clients is such a treat, because they all want to see what's best for the horse, right? Everybody. And that's a perfect example with, I'll just bounce around for 1 second, Willpower Fashion. Willpower Fashion is incredibly sick, and has been for a couple of weeks. The fight this horse has shown. You want to know why I like Willpower Fashion and why I respect that horse? Well, let's sit down and have a beer sometime and talk about what he's been through the last 3 weeks. He is an incredible fighter, and every day I walk in and see this horse, it just strengthens my respect for him. He had a bout of pneumonia and ended up with pleuritis, ended up very, very sick. They took an incredible amount of fluid out of his chest cavity. They didn't think he'd live. And we had him at the university, and then it came to a tipping point where there wasn't really much more they could do other than observation and pumping him full of more antibiotics. And we took Will home. Took him home, and I was optimistic, but after a few days, I became worried, and still am very worried about the horse, his overall health, and if he's going to live. And he's a fighter, and he's been eating and drinking and just feeling like $1 million all the while he is incredibly sick. It's something else. And being able to deal with clients and understand that I'm trying to do what's best for the horse. These animals give so much to us. I'm trying to do what's best for him, at the same time trying to do what's best for everybody. And Willpower Fashion, I own a big chunk of Willpower Fashion, and we have a number of clients that are my partners on the horse, and it's never we've spent too much on them, or when's too much. I've been trying to do everything as frugally as I can, but at the same time, everybody is rooting for Willpower Fashion. How's Will? How's he doing? Any updates today on Will? And that's what warms my heart about the stable.ca, is the love that people show towards the horses, and it's really heartwarming. And circling back to the Barbie's Crown thing, to be able to deal with people that understand that the filly just needs time. She's shown us heart. She's shown us desire. She's got a nice gait. She's fast. She's quick. She wants to do more. These are the things. These are the foundations of every good horse. And to let her down by pushing her when her body is clearly telling us, hold on here a second. The ability to just stop without having an argument, not an argument, but even a discussion back and forth about continuing on, is it takes a lot of stress off me, right? And I think you guys can see that I've been under a lot of stress the last day or so, but here trying to figure out updating our clients on what needs to be updated, and then looking at the horses that aren't going to be ready for June 12th or their first stake race in their jurisdiction. How do we address that? So I guess we can add Willpower Fashion to the update list. He is in I don't even know what condition to say. His spirits are high, put it that way. He's eating well. We're able to control his fever. He's eating well. He's drinking well. He's living. He's happy. I guess that's the best way to put it right now. What does his racing career look like? It's on hold for quite a while. I just want to see the horse recover, because I really love the horse to death, and he deserves to, whether he's not a racehorse anymore or not, he deserves to move forward. I think if you'd asked me 2 days ago, I'd say I didn't know if he was going to survive, but his desire is something else. So Willpower Fashion is in. His spirits are high right now. We'll leave it at that. And another horse also, I guess I had it written down on the side, was Don't Believe Me, Just Watch. I get a lot of questions about him. We had that procedure to take that fragment off the back of his knee. It wasn't a crack or anything like that. It was a hunk of calcium formed on the back of his knee, and that's where a lot of ligaments are. It irritated him quite a bit. We had it surgically removed. He's back jogging now, has not begun training. I suspect end of July. And I could be off by a bit, but I suspect the end of July, maybe the mid at the very earliest. But knowing Kevin, he takes his time, and good that he does. I would suspect end of July for Don't Believe Me, Just Watch. But if there's any change, if I was maybe a little aggressive with that date or off with that date, I'll definitely get an update from Kevin on Don't Believe Me, Just Watch. So back to Barbie's Crown. We turned her out in the field. Gonna let her grow and turn into the horse we want her to. Steve's great to work with in regards to what's best for the filly. He sees the same thing I do. Filly's got talent. Let's let her prove how much talent she has. To do that, we have to give her the tools to do that. Those tools can only come with time. So let her mature. So Barbie's Crown's in the field. Carry a Big Stick, just trying so hard to get his job right and couldn't. And I would suspect a lot of that came down to maturity. So he simply said, okay, stop. It's now June 1st pretty well. Let's turn him out in the field and let him grow. We'll bring him back in a month's time. Both him and Set the Mood were the same. Set the Mood was doing his work well, but growing like a weed. And you could tell his knees and hocks were hurting him. They just were. So, and always have. So Set the Mood, we just give him some time to cool down, give him some grass. He's worked so hard since we broke him. Got a great attitude. You won't really find me make fun of many horses' attitudes that are left in the barn. They're mostly either very talented horses, or like you look like a horse like Fox Valley Britska. There's always been a little bit of a, we always joke and call him a little troll, but at the same time, ask him to go forward and he'll go forward. Now, he might fight you a little bit here and there, but he's getting better and better and better, and all the horses in the barn are either got great attitudes, great work ethics, or very, very well talented horses. So, not a lot of wasted talent and energy in the barn, put it that way. So, Carry a Big Stick and Set the Mood need time. We gave them time. Barbie's Crown needs time. We gave them time. These horses are still slated to race in 2020. Jazzy Judy ended up with a chip in her knee. We took that out. Knee's got a little bit of a bump on it. I think it's 8 weeks in the stall. Then we can start maybe little track work, little pool work. She might find her way up to the pool for a couple of weeks, or a mix of pool and racetrack. Now, here's the thing. We're moving our horses to Northfield Park this year to race in Ohio. They have a spa at Northfield Park on the back. They have a pool, a cold water spa, and a beautiful half-mile track to train on. It might be a good idea after we get Jazzy Judy started up to maybe ship her over to Jason, where they have the facilities. That all-encompassing training regimen that we want to put them on is all right there. We have a cold spa, a pool, and a great racetrack in Northfield Park. That might be an idea that just popped into my head. I might look into that for the rest of the summer. Keystone Ravens, just time with her. Both her and, where's the other horse? She's not on here. Holy Chick and Keystone Raven had the chips out of their sesamoids. They'll be done till the end of summer, early fall. But, again, expected to make a full recovery, so that's good. Rose Run Why Not has a line in her knee. She's going to go in the pool the end of next week. Then we'll get her rechecked at 6 weeks to see how that line is. That was a killer. That was one of our best Ohio-bred trotting fillies. She really showed up late in the season, but her knees were just a little too immature, ended up with a line in her knee. That will heal 100%. Cabernet, Screw put in her pasturing. It sounds like her bones are a little more brittle than the vet was a little surprised. The one note I saw on the vet release was how easy it was to put the screw through. So after 2 weeks, she can start hand walking. We'll put together a regimen for her. She's going to be ready late summer also. And then Overdue Mission, last but not least, had an OCD removed. We had her back in short order. She trained on Saturday. She trained yesterday. She'll almost be ready to go. It's quite a recovery. She'll almost be ready to go for the first Buckeye Stake in Ohio. So I went into the day feeling great because we were qualifying today. I was riding a high into this morning's qualifiers. All the wind came out of my sails when I saw the lag on Globetrotting. A terrifying day, just crushed me for the rest of the day. And then I had a little depression nap, I guess, and woke up to the vet telling me it was infection. So quite a roller coaster for me today. Riding that high into the qualifiers, being crushed by that potential and what looked to be an injury to me, to globetrotting, and then finding out that it was an infection. The vet was guarded and said it's going to need extreme treatment quickly. It's around the joint area, but at the same time, I'll take that over a suspensory every single waking second of the day, every week, every month, every year. So those are all your updates. I wanted to bring them to you. I just had so much rattling around in my head. And I said, I want to make sure everybody knows where their horses are, what they're doing, what's going on for the rest of the year with them. Why aren't we going to have White Tiger, Oso Pine, Cavill Hanover, yes, and Cruising in Style ready for an earlier date? That is why. I hope you understand why now. We want to survey North America and see where the best place for our horses are. At the same time, taking our time, letting them mature into that 4-year-old body, because a 4-year-old body is not a 5-year-old body, and those are the bodies we have to race against. So that's where we're at with all our horses. That's where we're at with everybody. I'm, as you can see, a little more optimistic now, a little upbeat now, getting excited and ready to get some horses trained. We might have them to Mohawk rather than a drone next week. Might have them to Mohawk. I'd love to go a mile in 2 minutes with the Pacers, 2-2 with the Trotters, rather than trying to train them hard at our farm just because. So that's the last fluid part I have to talk about today, is the training of the 2-year-olds. We would love to get them to Mohawk. If we can't, there will be a drone next week. I won't know until I ask the race office if we can bring 42-year-olds to train. We will know that in the coming days. So, qualifiers tomorrow in the rain. Qualifiers Saturday at Georgian Downs. Qualifiers Monday and Tuesday. A lot going on. A lot of horses getting ready to race. Some even going to be racing in the very, very, very near future. So, the day ends well. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.